This is Doug from IELTScity.com. Today I'm going to be talking about writing advanced sentence structures, and that's something you're going to have to do in your IELTS writing task 1. In IELTS City's 7 for 7 program, we cover this more comprehensively under the title Pick and Mix, and that means picking and mixing up different sentence structures according to what you like. So let's take a look at it. So in this graph that was provided to us by IELTS.org, we have a multiple line graph in which we can focus on several points and use some different sentence structures. So here you go. We have 2 points that have been identified, the green one and the red one, and they're both at the start of the period in question. Now, I've decided to think about similarities and differences that exist between these 2 points. And I chose to do that because if we can identify similarities and or differences, then we can write more advanced sentence structures. So more advanced sentence structures would include, of course, adjective clauses, adverb clauses. So we need to use subordinate adverbs, subordinate conjunctions or transitions using different comparative structures. So let's take a look at this. So I said both have low values, and that's a similarity. At the same time, there's a difference. There's a small difference between these low values. And I've used the words both to talk about similarities and while to talk about differences. So let's take a look. While both have low starting values at 6 a.m., there actually is a small percentage of the population that watches television, 5%. The same can't be said about listening to the radio, however, as 0% of the population tunes into programming at the same time. Let's look at a few other points in this paragraph. We have a few words or phrases that have been placed in bold and have been underlined. We have this phrase, the same. Now, the same is being used to reference a point that was made earlier. In the sentence that precedes this, there's the point about watching television. Now, the same is a way to reference the idea that when it comes to watching television, there was a small percentage that watched television at that time. The same, meaning a small percentage, can't be said about listening to the radio. So when I'm using the word the same, I'm referencing a previous idea.
Hello?
Now let's look at the next word. However, we have this transition that I placed in the middle of the sentence. It's nice to be putting it in the middle or at the end. Now, of course, that's a nice way to throw in another buzzword. And the last phrase here, at the same time. What does at the same time refer to? It's referring to that previous time, or it's substituting that time, 6 a.m. Instead, we're using at the same time. So what have we done? We've used while, we've used both, we've talked about similarities and differences, we've thrown in some referencing, we've substituted some words or phrases, and we used transitions or subordinate conjunctions. It's a great idea. Let's look at another example. Okay, so this is another graph that was provided by IELTS.org, and we have 2 points that have been identified here, and we're going to talk about them. Once again, I've decided to use advanced sentence structures with the idea of talking about similarities and or differences. So we have some similarities. Both rise before falling, or we can use the word fluctuate. There is a difference, or there are differences, however. One peaks at about 9 a.m., the other peaks at about 8 p.m. So we can use the word while or this phrase on the other hand to talk about these differences. So let's take a look. While both TV and radio audiences fluctuate throughout the day, the percentage of the population listening to the radio peaks much earlier at around 9 a.m. TV viewership, on the other hand, is most popular much later in the day at around 8 p.m. So we use the words both, while, on the other hand. I also used the words much earlier and much later, and that's a way to compare the data. And once again, it seems like buzzwords that would hopefully do better on the IELTS exam. Alright, so we've looked at some advanced sentence structures. I've used the idea of comparing similarities and differences that exist among points. And I've used some different types of words such as subordinate adverbs, subordinate conjunctions. We've used comparative structures. I hope this was helpful for you. Please join us on Facebook. Join the conversation. Follow us on Twitter. We'd love to see you attending one of our 7 for 7 programs. Should you have any questions, just let us know. We can be reached at IELTScity.com, www.IELTScity.com. We're running a special right now for 7 for 7, a couple writing corrections and a couple private lessons, and it's called the Big City Package, or the Big City Promotion. Make sure to visit us, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Good luck. Kick butt on your next IELTS exam.